Good day everybody, it's Karina here and welcome back to your Try Delight. So let's get straight to it, I guess. So we were having some fun with Maya. I swallow, relieved at... I swallow, relieved at Maya's explanation, but acutely aware of his face being a mere few inches to my right. You certainly aren't like any other guy I met, law-abiding or otherwise. Why don't you tell me more about what it's like being in this risky business? I clumsily attempt to slide the conversation in another direction, daring to glance over at Maya. No, please, I know a one-sided agreement when I see one. With the gloating air of someone who's just caught their opponent cheating, Mayer shakes his head. I'll answer a few questions of yours, but only on the condition I can ask questions of my own. I swear on my honor to answer with the truth, and you'll do the same, but we can avoid one question in exchange for a favor. Does that strike you as fair? His tone casually rises up at the end, not so subtly daring me to accept. I think I'd be an idiot to expect a businessman like Joseph to play fair, but alright, I'll bite. That's what I like to hear. Mayer gives me a rakish, teasing grin, all too pleased with my reply. As a gesture of goodwill, I'll even let you start. Really, how do you make any money with that kind of generosity? Oh, you'd be surprised. As Mayer chuckles to himself, I pause and ponder on what to ask. What do I most want to know about? Gang or history? I guess his history maybe? Gang would be too forward. Tell me about your background, your history. What was it like for you to growing up? My question seems to catch Maya off guard, but his surprise quickly shifts into a gentle, pleased expression, and he nods in acknowledgement. I was raised in a cozy little Jewish community in Missouri, where I lived until a few years ago. I'm sure you'll find this hard to believe, but I always kept to myself as a boy. I rarely spoke to anyone. I suppose you could say I was afraid of rejection. Our rabbi was my closest friend. We ate corned beef sandwiches and talked about baseball on the weekends. Looking back now, I think he was just as lonely as I. He chuckled softly, gaze flicking down to the coffee table and lingering on his cup. I can't imagine Mayer ever being withdrawn. I guess he didn't develop his charisma until late. Several days after my bar mitzvah, a few boys who I never seen before, approached me on the street. I know what bar mitzvah is, but I will still look it. Bar mitzvah, literally son of the commandment in Aramaic, is a Jewish ceremony often held for boys when they reach 13 years of age. Beyond serving as a coming-of-age ritual, it also marks the time a Jewish boy is obligated to uphold the commandments. The first bat mitzvah, the equivalent ceremony for girls, was held on March 18, 1922 for Judith Kaplan, the daughter of the founder of Reconstructionist Judaism. Mayer, they said, you are a tall, strong guy. Why the hell are you playing with the rabbi instead of making money? I realized I didn't have much of an answer. We formed a merry little crew. It was enjoyable to have that kind of attention from my peers, and my desire to fit in was why I began doing jobs with them. Eventually, my name garnered a certain reputation. The association grew, people started looking up to me, and somehow I ended up on the top of it all. Maya's eyes returned to me. I can't really read the true emotion behind them: nostalgia, regret, or satisfaction. The rabbi, you know whatever happened to him? We don't speak anymore. He gives me one of those brief thin lip smiles, the kind you only show to be polite. Again, it's hard to see through what it means, but I get a little longing in his voice. You know, I'd always separated mobsters from real people in my head, like you were all just monsters who'd lost your humanity. But listening to you talk, I guess it makes me realize how we are not so different at all. I twirl my glass between my fingers, unsure if that knowledge makes me more happy or grim. Maya studies me in silence for a little while. It's not an awkward silence, though just a thoughtful one. Well, your turn. For a question, you have one? Oh, I have many. When the silence finally breaks, Mayer gives me a wry grin, his eyes momentarily flicking down to my mouth. What? Yeah, I'm listening. Alright. Greatest fear. My greatest fear? He nods, watching me expectantly. No immediate answer pops into my head, so I mull over the question for a moment. My greatest fear? Something that would keep me from sleeping at night. Hurting innocent people? Oh. I nod, forcing a brief, awkward smile as I take another sip of my drink. Mayer doesn't add anything further though. Is he waiting for me to elaborate? I just think it's my duty, well, the duty of everyone in law enforcement, to make sure Americans are safe and happy. That's why we exist. It's not just a job you do for money. It's a job that lets you go home feeling better about the world, even if it's just for a little while. Mayer tilts his head a little to one side, eyes glimmering at me. Alright. Then he slips onto my shoulder, resting there gently for a few seconds before squeezing it. Very admirable, Richter. Although, I have to wonder just where Volstead fits into that. Oh, right, because Americans can't be happy during Volstead because they are banned from drinking. Right. He trails off curiously. Is he trying to lead me somewhere with that vague comment? Well, it's your turn, isn't it? Why don't you ask me something light-hearted? I don't mind if you get more personal. He leans in a little more, hand still lingering on my shoulder. I can smell his light cologne and the supple, earthly scent of coffee. I've been trying desperately to keep my nerves under control, but it's getting harder and harder. The more Mayer teaches into my personal space. Ask if he has a lover, ask what his favorite activity is. I mean, you said to get more personal, so... Lover? Do you, have a lover? Wife? You must try it, being the cat's meow and all. No. Oh. Mayers responds casually, offering a little shrug. when I shoot a glance over at him. Is it my imagination, or does he look incredibly smug right now? How can you be smug from not having a wife? I don't know. Why are you wearing that expression? Are you so very surprised? Or maybe you are relieved? No, just surprised is all. I really didn't think you'd still be a bachelor. And why is that? Because I'm the cat's meow. What does cat's meow mean? I don't understand. Can we just get on with the next question? Pausing, Meyer makes a show of tapping a finger against his bottom lip, turning his eyes toward the ceiling. Oops, why did I get the history? I don't want the history. It's such an obvious display that I know for a fact he's already got his question picked out, and he's just toying with me. I drained the last of my glass in an attempt to act casual, turning my head away slightly. I've got one. What memory do you have of your first? Please describe it in great detail. Oh mine. He's getting hot. I nearly choked on my drink. So this is what he was planning all along. I'm listening very attentively. Hold on, Damn it. I know this is what he wants me to say, but it will be a cold day in hell before I tell this guy I've never probably kissed anyone before. Can I just trade the favor? Oh, don't feign surprise, you bastard. In that case, I suppose I'll take you up on that favor right now. Are they gonna kiss? I reflexively squeeze my eyes shut, sucking in a breath. It feels like my chest is going to explode. Richter? What are you doing? Oh no! I reopened one eye to see Meyer staring me quizzically. Is that even a real word? I thought he... No, of course he wouldn't. He's too much of a gentleman. Just a little dizzy from the drink. So, what do you want from me for the favor? Well, you'd probably think me of a fool for saying this, but... Reaching for the bag at his right, Meyer lifted it up and sighed happily, slipping his hand inside to unwrap the cake. I'd like you to share it with me. Sir, the cake? He nods, pulling back the paper wrapping to relieve the delicious-looking spongy white dessert. I'd feel guilty enjoying it by myself, especially considering you brought it to me. So I would prefer we savor it together. Does that sound agreeable? Ha! I haven't had a thing since lunch, so you are asking the right guy. Should we just cut it in half or what? No. You are going to feed it to me. I blink at Meyer, unsure if I heard him correctly. He gazes back at me calmly. I definitely didn't mishear that, did I? If you want, then should I go get a fork or... That won't be necessary. Come, take a bite. Meyer offers the cake to me, along with a daring raise of his brow. I feel like I just walked right into a trap. But I knew that from the beginning, didn't I? And I came here all the same, because I wanted it to happen. I I take a small bite of the cake, letting the fluffy sweetness rest on my tongue. 10. Meyer gently curls a finger under my chin, gradually closing the distance between us. His chest presses against mine, pinning me to the back of the sofa. There is nothing to be embarrassed, Richter. He breathes those words against my cheek, pulling my jaw down ever so slightly to part my lips. Oh my, they are kissing. They are kissing. Slowly, gently, he covers my mouth with his own. The sweet flavor mingles between our tongues, but my head feels so foggy that I can barely think about how it tastes. Meyer teases me with maddeningly light, soft kisses, pulling back a little bit each time I start to press forward. He's really trying to provoke me, isn't he? Well, it's working. I bite down hard on his lower lip, exhaling a hot, impatient breath. Momentarily, his chest presses harder against. Oh mine! Oh mine! His kisses suddenly grow more aggressive, hard and deep, so intense that I have to gasp for air whenever I can. I pull his coat off his shoulders, grasping needily at his shirt, letting my hands wander all over his powerful body. Just as his tongue starts to slip into my mouth. He pulls back again, this time breaking into a devilish grin. If I'd known that you would be so eager, I would have done this a lot sooner. Are we gonna spend the whole night talking or share more of that cake? Oh my. I can't disappoint my favorite detective, now can I? It would be horrible if you clapped me in shackles and brought me in for interrogation after art. You sound pretty excited about that idea, actually. And can you blame me? Meyer swipes a finger through the cake's eyes, then presses it past my lips. I suckle on it without hesitation, lapping the sweetness of his fingertips. A faint more. Oh my god, this is turning into very 18 plus. Kids, go home. Don't watch this. Oh mine. A faint moan leaking from my throat before I can contain it. Richter. No, they are kissing again. Meyer suddenly leans in for another kiss, trailing his finger along my bottom lip. This time, he's the impatient one, his tongue pressing insistently against my lips until I part them. It greedily swirls inside my mouth, tangling with my own tongue as Meyer presses me roughly against the couch. It's like he can't get enough of me, and I can't get enough of him. I grasp his hips and keep him pulled forward, wanting more and more. Oh. As we trade eager, wet kisses, my mind hazily wanders about a certain question. What am I really doing here? Am I trying to live out some detective seduced by mobster fantasy? Or is it like Meyer said? Are we just two men outside of our opposite professions, savoring each other's company? If Leslie could see me right now, I don't know what he'd think, or if he'd even find it excusable. But if I'm so easily turned away from my duties by a gangster, maybe I was never cut out for this line of work to begin with. I just can't. This is so horrible. One of Mayer's hands drifted down my chest, slipping around my waist to squeeze my hip. I normally wouldn't do this on a first date, especially since I'd like to give you a reason to come back. He heatedly murmurs a string of words in between breathless kisses, not giving me a moment to reply. But it doesn't feel like you'll need to do much convincing. His fingertips tease along my inner thigh, sending shivers through me from head to toe. Just a little bit higher. A little higher. Of course there is... Oh, right, the policeman. Right. He has spent so long time there that the policemen are coming in, right? A frantic knock at the door makes both of us jerk apart. Meyer smooths back his hair and clothes, sitting back and clearing his throat. Come in. Oh, okay, policeman. The door instantly flies open and one of Meyer's men bolts inside. Mr. Eastman. Okay, it's the cops. Okay. There's a bunch of cops sniffing around right outside the joint. I think something's about to go down if we don't stop them. Wait. Those are my guys. Safely precaution. I jump up from the sofa, inwardly kicking myself. Damn it, I should have told them to go home earlier. I lost track of time, and shit, there's no excuse. It's alright, Richter. Meyer's gentle voice calls to me reassuringly. Go put your men at ease. Maybe by some grand stroke of fate, you'll end up here again tomorrow, and we can resume our talk. He puts on one of his wickedly innocent smiles, winking at me. Thanks. I hope I can see you soon. You doubtlessly will. With a hasty nod, I turn and follow the other man to the door, smoothing back my own ruffled hair. Lucky for me, those officers probably aren't being paid enough to ask many questions. Oh, and Richter. He calls out to me just as I'm about to cross the threshold, and I glance back at him. Don't forget what your real duty is. Good night. Meyer's man shuffles me along to the exit before I have a chance to reply. My real duty? What the hell does he mean by that? Maybe it doesn't mean anything, but those words stick in the back of my mind, even as I leave the speakeasy to reassure the officers I'm alright and defuse the situation. Hopefully I'll get a chance to see Meyer tomorrow, and I'll ask him then. My heart still pounding from the end of talk. When I finally get home and roll into bed, there's no way I can fall asleep. So I spent the night restlessly tossing and turning. I'd rather be hungover than this, jeez. Infatuation doesn't fade away half as easy. I have no idea what infatuation means. Oh, morning, boss. I stumble into the office, feeling like a corpse dragged out of its grave. Coffee. Richter? This is the second day in a row you come in looking like bedraggled cat. Do we need to have an intervention? I'm fine, just couldn't sleep. Christ, something really is messed up when Leslie shows up at work before me. He lets out a long, playful sigh, shaking his head before taking a sip of his coffee. Well, don't keep me in suspense. Your escapades last night, of course. What happened? What did you find out? Oh, yeah, right. With my own coffee mug in hand, I sink down in my chair, clearing my throat. Going to have to leave out some of the details here, I think. My new friend, Mr. Mayor Eastman. Well, he gave me some information about the powerful mob players in the city. Seems like he's really in the loop. Oh. The already pale Leslie seems to suddenly grow a shade paler. He slowly sets down his coffee and leans forward over his desk, brow furrowing as he stares at me. Did you say Eastman? Sure did, boss. Why? Why? Yes. Are you losing your hearing already, boss? You are not that old. Because Eastman is the man running all of Cleveland, that's why. Leslie raises his voice in excitement and frustration, slamming his fists down on his desk. All of Cleveland? Yes, all of Cleveland. I found out about him last night at that party I went to. He's well liked and hugely powerful, and most of Cleveland's Italian mafia is terrified of him. I don't know how on earth you managed to get on his good books, but Eastman is the key to taking down this city's liquor business. In fact, I think that Speakeasy itself might be his main base. After we get a bit more information, we should set up a raid. I figured the mayor was powerful, but I don't care for the history, where do you keep coming from? But I had no idea he was running all of Cleveland. Leslie's, I think he means Leslie. Leslie's right, obviously. Our department is supposed to be working with the FBI to enforce prohibition here, which means shutting down criminal outfits. This should be a huge step forward. If that's the case, then why do I feel reluctant? It's not like Mayor trusts me. In fact, I'm sure he doesn't. But I can't imagine putting him behind bars. Last night was probably just a game. His attempt to manipulate me onto his side. And yet it didn't feel like that at all. Oi, Richter. Are you spacing out? Do you need more coffee? I snapped back to the moment, greeted by a curious Leslie staring at me quizzically. Still, is quizzically a real word? It doesn't sound like a real word. No, I was just thinking, boss. We are going about this the wrong way. The wrong way? You have a different idea? When I nod, Leslie tilts his head to the side, motioning for me to continue. If there's anything I can give him credit for, it's that he's usually willing to listen to what I say, even if I'm the junior partner. Let me keep talking to Eastman. I'll get more details out of him, I promise. We shouldn't throw him in jail. Not yet. Leslie stares at me in stunned silence. Does it really sound that strange? Did you hit your head on your way home last night, Richter? This is a mob boss we are talking about. He's dangerous, not in line to be the next pope. I don't know what he said to you, but you shouldn't believe him. Just because he hasn't killed you yet doesn't mean he won't. Once you've outlived your usefulness, haven't you thought about that? His frustrated, skeptical words echo my own thoughts, as much as I hate to admit it. Maybe it's stupid to try and deny them, but before I can control myself, I blurt out the first thing that comes to mind. He's not a murderer. He's not a one-sided villain who was born bad. Huh? Sure, most mobsters out there are ruthless bastards, but so are a lot of normal people. Mafia guys aren't some special breed, evil to the rotten cause. Mayor, he's a businessman. He's using the law for profit. I know that, and I'm not saying I think it's right. But after talking to him, spending time with him, seeing how he's just a guy like any other, I'll be damned if I don't have more sympathy for him than whatever rich old highbinder is hanging down orders in the FBI. Highbinders refers to a corrupt politician or swindler. It originates from the name of a Chinese-American criminal organization in New York in the mid-late 1800s. Leslie stays quiet, biting his bottom lip, a nervous habit of his, and avoiding my gaze for a while. I never raise my voice at him, nor anyone else, for that matter. I instantly feel a little sheepish about it, but I didn't know how else to express my change of heart. Finally, Leslie rubs at his eyes with one hand and gently sighs, a small smile twitching at the corner of his lips. He stands up from his desk and walks over, giving me one of those affectionate "what am I going to do with you" looks. Ah, I guess I'm not that surprised. You've always been compassionate and honest, probably why you are a terrible liar. He pauses, reaching out to gently ruffle my hair. There's still a worried crease in his brow, but I think he's trying his hardest to believe in me. If you really think this man isn't out to just prove us over, and he'll be of use to the investigation somehow, then I suppose I'm willing to go along with it, for a little while at least. Boss. A little while, I say, hey, what? I jump out of my chair and pull Leslie into a hug, tightly squeezing his wiry frame. He stiffens for a moment, but eventually wraps his arm around me too, softly patting my back. What in the world? I sure hope you know what you are doing, Richter. If something ever happened to you, well, let's just say I have had enough time living with myself already. Why? Because you are so high maintenance? Exactly. You know how many times a day I have to feed myself. It's very difficult, and having guilt on my shoulders won't help things any. I'll be fine, boss. Don't worry about me. As we pull apart, I gaze down into Leslie's face for a moment. He still doesn't look fully convinced. Perfectly reasonable. We are paid to be suspicious. I'll bring him around to the idea eventually. If everything works out, he's open-minded to just about anything, given enough time. Except vegetables, maybe. After we discuss things a little more, Leslie and I settle about our usual routine of paperwork, scars, and more paperwork. It's not like our work normally flies by, but today the hours seems especially long. At last, evening rolls around. When I head outside, my feet start to take me down a familiar road before I even realize it. Okay, I think we can leave the episode here. I hope you liked it, and bye bye!